Like many of his films, Quentin Tarantino's Inglourious Basterds is filled with little details. One of them was revealed only minutes later in one of the film's most frightening scenes. Today, we will discuss the plot and the real meaning of the ending. What is the Inglourious Basterds about? What did the ending mean? Stay tuned to find out all the important unanswered questions we need answered. First up, what is the Inglourious Basterds about? In 2009, Tarantino released Inglourious Basterds, a film that depicts two interconnected stories whose main characters share the desire to assassinate as many Nazis as they can, including Hitler himself. This film examined an alternate history of World War II. This was the first year that Germany occupied France. A group of Jewish troops were put together by Allied officer Lieutenant Aldo Raine, Brad Pitt, to carry out brutal acts of vengeance against the Nazis, including taking off their heads. To overcome the Third Reich's leaders, he and his soldiers team up with German actress and covert operative Brigitte von Hammersmark. The theater owner Susanna Dreyfus, who wants to get revenge on the Nazis for killing her family, brings their fates together. The two stories alternate between a gang of troops known as the Bastards, led by Aldo Raine, Brad Pitt, and Susanna Dreyfus, Emmanuel Mimieux, Melanie Laurent, a Jewish cinema owner whose family got killed by the SS commander Hans Landa, Christoph Waltz. They teamed up with British commander Lieutenant Archie Hickox, Michael Fassbender, who, together with two of the Bastards and German movie actress Brigitte von Hammersmark, Diane Kruger, had found himself inside a tavern full of Nazis as part of their plan to kill Hitler. Minutes afterward, Hickox, the Bastards, and every German soldier were slaughtered. Their deaths were gently hinted at during the card game the troops were engaged in, when Hickox and company arrived because of one of them was Mata Hari. Next up, how does the Mata Hari connect to the Inglourious Basterds? The Nazis were to be attacked during the premiere of Joseph Goebbels' newest film, Nation's Pride, starring Frederick Zoller, Daniel Bruhl, which was scheduled to take place in the movie theater run and controlled by Susanna. They required Hammersmark's assistance since she had tickets to the premiere and could assist them in infiltrating the gathering. However, as was already indicated, many Nazi soldiers in the tavern where Hickox and the Bastards met von Hammersmark to celebrate the birth of their son. When Hickox and company arrived, they were all playing a game of Guess Who with cards, including von Hammersmark. The soldiers played when von Hammersmark joined Hickox at their table. One of the cards is Mata Hari, predicting the Bastards, von Hammersmark's, and Hickox's demise. The Dutch exotic dancer Mata Hari, whose actual name was Margarita Gertrude MacLeod, was found guilty of spying for Germany during World War I. Mata Hari was detained in February of 1917 and eventually placed on trial for allegedly spying for Germany, resulting in thousands of soldiers' deaths. She was suspected of being a spy by both French and British intelligence, but neither could back up their claims. French soldiers used a shooting squad to kill Mata Hari. However, Hickox and Bastards were killed in France during a gunfight with the Nazi forces at the tavern when Hickox unintentionally exposed their identity. The Nazis realized that they, along with von Hammersmark, were spies, so Hickox and the Bastards were not killed by French soldiers. Next off, are the Bastards based on people living back then? While the events and characters depicted in Inglourious Basterds are based on actual occurrences, including Goebbels, Hitler, and Mata Hari, the fictional Bastards were inspired by natural military groups. These were the American units known as Operation Greenup, which, even though they wanted to kill Nazis, and they did, centered more on intelligence gathering, and the British unit known as X Troop, organized by Winston Churchill, though they didn't go around killing Nazis, and instead, they focused on collecting information about them. The majority of the events of Inglourious Basterds are fictional. However, Tarantino used actual people and events to hint at what the title gang would experience. Next up, how did the movie Inglourious Basterds end? German soldiers were captured, scalped, and followed by Aldo and the Bastards. They left anyone who survived with a swastika engraved on their foreheads, even if they never wore a uniform again. This was done to ensure they would never forget what they accomplished while serving Hitler. Landa captured Aldo and Yudovich, BJ Novak, after learning the Bastards' objectives towards the film's conclusion. Landa forced Aldo to speak with his boss at the OSS to strike a deal. Landa would permit the Bastards' assassination of Hitler to proceed in exchange for a full pardon, safe transit through Allied lines, and other advantages after the war. Landa and his radio operator surrendered as they entered Allied territory. Still, Aldo shot the latter and gave Yudovich the order to scalp him. Aldo etched a swastika onto Landa's forehead and said it was his masterpiece. Next off, what did the ending mean? Landa had been on Aldo's and company's radar for some time, and while agreeing to his terms, he had no intention of letting him go without a fight. Aldo considered marking Landa with a swastika as his masterpiece because he was pleased with himself for finally being able to exact revenge for his actions. Even though it was the sole swastika carving visible on screen throughout the entire film, several viewers have noted that Landa's marking appeared excruciating. The one done to the soldier that tells Hitler about it was done off screen. Aldo probably carved the swastika on Landa's forehead a little bit deeper to punish him even more. He might have even done it more slowly to increase Landa's suffering. This is why he refers to this particular piece of art as a masterpiece. The last scene, in which Aldo and Yudovich proudly admire the swastika on a suffering Landa's forehead, is exceptionally striking because it shows that the Bastards eventually triumphed, even though only two of them lived. It's not surprising that Aldo Raine believes Inglourious Basterds Basterds to be his best work because he spent the entire film planning for the opportunity to take revenge on a person like Hans Landa. Next up, why is Inglourious Basterds Quentin Tarantino's masterpiece? Imaginative changes reflect the current polarization of politics and the spread of fake news. The distinction is that Tarantino doesn't intend to mislead his viewers. He is aware that although movies cannot change the past, they can influence how we perceive it by illustrating potential just civilizations, casting fresh light on the present. Everyone would want to assassinate Hitler if they could travel through time. Inglourious Basterds succeeds as fiction. Still, its achievement as cinema is even more impressive. The movie makes it clear right away that it is a work of fiction and a tribute to World War II movies. The film's theme song, The Green Leaves of the Summer, is from The Alamo, which debuted in 1960. You don't need to be able to recognize that melody to sense how well it creates a nostalgic mood. Another vintage touch is the chapter headings, the first of which reads Once Upon a Time in Nazi-occupied France. Sergio Leone's classics Once Upon a Time in the West and Once Upon a Time in America are referenced in the title Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. However, 10 years ago, Tarantino used the cliche in the same way he does in the new movie, to emphasize the fairy tale nature of his storylines. However, in a masterful tone shift, those fictional makers and bastards come before one of Tarantino's most genuine and terrifying sequences, in which Nazis visit a French farm family and assume the farmer is concealing Jews. Next off, what message does Inglourious Basterds convey? The movies of Quentin Tarantino, including Pulp Fiction, Kill Bill, and Django Unchained, are classic examples of dreams of retribution. His main characters relentlessly pursue wrathful vengeance against those who have harmed them. No exception is made by his 2009 picture Inglourious Basterds, which blends fantasy and fact, and follows several intertwined plotlines to recreate history, in this instance by tracing two attempts to topple the Third Reich in 1994. Putting aside the violence, Inglourious Basterds' main message outright to inspire all of us, whether or not we are Jewish, to stop hatred from taking hold. This is the face of Jewish vengeance, declares Dreyfus as she interrupts the film premiere and ignites our screen with fire. We can see future outcomes and learn from historical errors by rethinking the past. In the current state of the world, Inglourious Basterds stands as a symbol of Jewish justice and as a testament to our tenacity. The Third Reich and Hitler both fell, but Nazism did not. Long before the Holocaust and even now, anti-Semitism still exists. The rioters who stormed the Capitol on January 6th recently proudly displayed Nazi and anti-Semitic symbols. Camp Auschwitz was written on one character's shirt, while 6MWE, which stands for 6 million wasn't enough, was written on the others. Contrary to most war films, Bastards leads to a happy ending where art can rescue the day. Tarantino's movies are permeated with a love of cinema, but it is never as visually evident. Inglourious Basterds uses the past as a vehicle to convey the message that we can and must use to shape the present and the future coming ahead. Did you like the ending of the film? Do you think this movie is Quentin Tarantino's best one yet? Make sure to let us know your thoughts down below. Thanks for watching.